It began with a statement so unexpected, so nuclear in its execution, that even seasoned royal insiders reportedly reread the document twice, terrified to acknowledge what was written on the page. Just 7 minutes ago, the absolute foundation of the British monarchy was fractured beyond repair. For years, the question of the crown's ultimate survival lingered in hushed tones behind palace walls. But now, King Charles has officially taken a step that permanently changes the lineage of the throne forever. The decree is absolute. The message is unmistakable. There is, and will only ever be, one royal path forward. Reports coming out of Buckingham Palace suggest the atmosphere transformed into total panic within seconds. A definitive, razor-sharp line has just been drawn through decades of royal protocol. King Charles, carrying the immense physical weight of his illness and the suffocating pressure of an unstable institution, has reportedly abandoned silence for total, unyielding warfare. Prince William and Catherine were not simply named as senior royals, they have been officially declared the only successors to the sovereign legacy. The wording is brutal. It is final. And as senior aides scramble through locked corridors in total silence, one devastating question hangs in the freezing air: if William and Catherine now hold every single key to the kingdom, who was just erased from history forever? To understand the sheer magnitude of what just transpired 7 minutes ago, you have to look past the pristine balcony photos, past the formal carriage rides, and directly into the cold, fractured reality of the modern House of Windsor. The royal family has not been operating as a unified front for years, it has been surviving as an arena of competing factions, unspoken rivalries, and deeply buried resentments. For decades, the public was sold a very specific illusion, that the crown was a massive, sprawling tree with branches wide enough to hold every prince, duchess, and duke under its royal shadow. But behind closed doors, that narrative was already bleeding out. Ever since King Charles ascended the throne under the darkest cloud of public scrutiny in modern memory, the palace was divided on a single, terrifying question: how does an ancient institution survive in a hyper-digital, deeply skeptical world that no longer forgives mistakes? Under Queen Elizabeth II, the strategy was always silence, endurance, and endless compromise. She absorbed the shocks of family collapses, public divorces, and global scandals by holding the door open just wide enough to keep the family from splintering entirely into the public domain. But Charles inherited a completely different landscape. He did not step onto the stage with the luxury of time. Facing his own severe health battles, relentless global headlines, and the brutal reality of a shrinking global interest in royal pageantry, Charles realized that his mother's diplomatic patience was actively killing the crown's future. The rift between the core royal center, represented by William and Catherine, and the outer edges of the family had reached a point of absolute toxicity. Whispers of leaked diaries, unauthorized memoirs, clandestine television tell-alls, and financial independence campaigns had turned the royal brand into a global soap opera. The palace was no longer controlling the narrative, the drama was controlling the palace. Insiders report that for the past 18 months, the atmosphere inside Clarence House and Kensington Palace was less like a royal household and more like a war room. Senior advisors were split into two radical camps. One side argued for total containment, soft press statements, public reconciliations, and keeping every royal family member under the grand umbrella, no matter how much damage they caused to the brand. They believed that cutting off blood relatives publicly would look cruel, desperate, and cold. The second camp, quietly spearheaded by top strategists aligned with the Prince and Princess of Wales, argued something far more ruthless: survival requires amputation. They saw that every time the palace attempted a soft compromise, it opened the door for another scandal, another leak, and another wave of public mockery. They argued that the public didn't want a crowded, chaotic royal court filled with secondary players fighting for attention and taxpayer-funded security. They wanted stability. They wanted dignity. They wanted a clear, unshakable direction. William, shaped by the brutal public exposure of his childhood and the devastating fallout of his parents' marriage, had long maintained a cold, pragmatic view of the crown's future. He watched as the institution suffered blow after blow, realizing that when the crown belongs to everyone, it belongs to no one. Catherine, having endured years of intense media hazing before earning her place as the undisputed emotional anchor of the British public, shared that exact same resolve. She understood that public affection is not a given, it is earned through absolute discipline, total silence, and unwavering commitment. Charles was caught in the middle of this intense ideological war. He was a father carrying personal grief and family attachments, but he was also a king running out of time. Every single public appearance was being analyzed for signs of weakness. Every missing royal on the balcony prompted international headlines about a crumbling empire. The palace could not keep floating in this dangerous limbo. The stage was set for an explosion. The tensions were locked in a pressure cooker that was bound to detonate the moment the king decided his legacy mattered more than internal diplomacy. The private meetings grew longer, the security protocols around internal drafts became absolute, and the whispers inside the halls grew terrified. Everyone knew a decision was coming. But nobody, not even the most hardened palace veteran, expected the sheer violence of the decree that was about to drop. It happened in the dead of night, far away from the glare of press cameras and official royal photographers. According to an explosive document leaked from within the Sovereign Grant Audit team, the definitive turning point took place during an emergency, unscripted summit called at Windsor Castle. There were no formal invitations sent through standard channels. No entries were made on the official court circular. At precisely 4 a.m., key legal representatives, the King's private secretary, and Prince William were summoned to a secure room in the royal apartments. The urgency was so extreme that top-tier security personnel were ordered to clear the surrounding corridors and disable standard internal communication logs for 3 hours. In that room, a document titled Project Aegis, Succession Clarity and Sovereign Realignment was laid out on the table. It was not a draft for public debate, it was a unilateral royal edict. The core directive was devastatingly simple. King Charles had formally executed a legal and institutional restructuring that officially designates Prince William and Princess Catherine as the sole operational successors, public representatives, and financial stewards of the royal estate. But it was the hidden clause in paragraph 4 that sent shockwaves through the legal team assembled in the room. The clause explicitly stripped all secondary, non-working, or estranged royal figures of any implicit rights to future royal succession roles, institutional support, or public representation under the reign of King Charles and all subsequent reigns. In plain language, the outer circle wasn't just being asked to step back, they were being legally and institutionally erased from the future operational blueprint of the British Crown. When the text of this inner decree was discreetly transmitted via encrypted satellite link to key affected individuals overseas and across private estates, the emotional fallout was immediate and explosive. Fake leaked encrypted messages allegedly sent between high-level aides that night paint a horrific picture of total chaos behind the scenes. One leaked palace text read, "It's done. The king signed it. No appeal. No secondary counsel. William and Catherine have total control of the narrative and the assets moving forward. Tell the team overseas to cease all draft press releases immediately. It's over." A second text, allegedly originating from a frantic communications officer stationed overseas, read, "He cut the line. He actually cut the line. We are completely blocked from the legal succession framework. Emergency calls are being rejected by the Buckingham switchboard. Get legal on the phone now." The emotional explosion behind closed doors was described by insiders as an absolute bloodbath of tears, screamed betrayals, and frantic emergency phone calls that went unanswered. Personal staff who have served the royal household for decades were reportedly seen weeping in private offices as security protocols were instantly updated to revoke access codes for non-cleared individuals. One insider leaked a description of the scene inside a secondary royal residence when the news broke. It was pure panic. Papers were thrown, phones were smashed against tables, and the realization set in that there would be no negotiation. The king had locked the vault, handed the key to William, and thrown the map away. Every single attempt to reach King Charles directly was blocked by his private secretaries under strict orders from the king himself. Charles had reportedly turned off his personal lines, leaving William as the sole authority managing incoming inquiries. The public was still fast asleep, completely unaware that their understanding of the British monarchy had just been shattered in a single night. But just as the palace aides thought they had managed to contain the initial shockwave within the castle walls, the ultimate betrayal occurred, a twist so severe it turned a controlled palace restructuring into a global catastrophe. A rogue staff member, facing immediate redundancy under the new streamlined operational budget, secretly snapped a high-resolution photograph of the signed executive summary page and uploaded it to an anonymous darknet server. Within minutes, the unthinkable happened. The document didn't just leak to top-tier journalists, it dropped directly onto the main servers of international news desks with a simple, terrifying subject line, "The end of the expanded crown." The moment the leaked document breached the digital perimeter of the internet, the world exploded into unadulterated chaos. What was meant to be a carefully orchestrated, slow-roll announcement over several weeks morphed into a global digital wildfire in less than 45 minutes. By 6 a.m. London time, the hashtag #OnlyWilliamandKate was trending #1 worldwide, eclipsing every major geopolitical news story across social media platforms. Over 14 million posts were published in under 3 hours. The internet didn't just react, it fractured into total digital warfare. Social media feeds across the globe were flooded with screenshot leaks, red-circled document analysis, and panicked live streams from royal commentators trying to process the absolute severity of the reveal. Fake trending online threads painted a picture of a public completely paralyzed by shock. One viral commentator posted, "Wait, look at page 3 of the leak." Charles didn't just name William as heir, he legally stripped the remaining family members of any institutional leverage forever. This isn't a succession plan, this is an exile decree. Another breaking news handle stated, "Bombshell, leaked documents confirm King Charles has officially declared Prince William and Kate Middleton as his only true successors. The rest of the family has been cut out completely." Palace is currently on total lockdown. Major global television networks abandoned their scheduled morning programming to go live with emergency coverage. Anchorpersons stood before massive graphic walls displaying images of King Charles, Prince William, and Princess Catherine alongside dramatic red warning banners reading, "Royal line redrawn, only 2 successors declared." Celebrity commentary erupted instantly, adding gasoline to the inferno. High-profile media figures, Hollywood commentators, and international influencers began taking sides in what was rapidly becoming the most divisive pop culture event of the decade. Prominent talk show hosts launched unscripted rants on live television. One major American morning anchor openly declared, "This is a cold-blooded corporate takeover disguised as royal duty." King Charles just told the rest of his family that they are irrelevant to the future of the world's most famous dynasty. Meanwhile, prominent British commentators fiercely defended the move, shouting down guests in heated live broadcasts, "Finally! The king has done what needed to be done for 10 years. The monarchy is not a social club for disaffected royals, it is an engine of state, and William and Catherine are the only ones capable of driving it." Then came the second, far more terrifying twist, one that changed the narrative from a palace power play into an unprecedented constitutional crisis. At 8:15 a.m., high-level legal analysts reviewing the leaked document discovered a secondary embedded appendix that had been completely overlooked in the initial media frenzy. Appendix C contained an explicit directive regarding the Duchy of Cornwall and the massive royal trust funds. It didn't just allocate future funds to William and Catherine, it retroactively froze all secondary financial disbursements to all non-core family members effective immediately. Every single security budget, every housing allowance, every estate maintenance grant for secondary royals was instantly terminated. The king hadn't just removed their names from the future operational map, he had cut off their financial oxygen overnight. The panic in high society circles was immediate. Private jets linked to secondary royal figures were tracked on flight monitoring apps, making sudden, unexpected detours toward London. Rumors began circulating that emergency legal teams were assembling in Washington, Los Angeles, and Geneva to file an immediate injunction against the Crown Estate to block the execution of the decree. The palace was no longer just dealing with a leak, they were facing an all-out legal and public war with their own bloodline. Outside the heavy iron gates of Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle, the physical world began mirroring the insanity of the digital space. Thousands of people began assembling in the early morning light, pushing against police barricades, waving flags, holding handwritten posters, and screaming over the noise of hovering news helicopters. The crowd was violently split down the middle. On one side stood staunch monarchists, holding portraits of Prince William and Princess Catherine, chanting their names in a thunderous show of support. To them, this was the ultimate triumph of duty, order, and dignity over years of self-serving royal chaos. On the other side stood enraged protesters, anti-monarchy groups, and supporters of the sidelined family members, holding banners that read, "Royal Tyranny, the Cold Crown, and Not My King." Street interviews broadcast live around the world captured the raw, unfiltered rage of the public. "It's absolute coldness," screamed one distraught fan outside Kensington Palace. "Catherine has worked so hard, yes, but to completely erase everyone else? To act like the rest of the family doesn't even exist anymore? It's heartless. It shows who they really are behind those fake smiles." Directly next to her, a veteran royalist shouted back, "Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. King Charles is doing what a real sovereign does. He is protecting the crown from parasites and fame chasers. William and Kate are the monarchy. The rest of them can go earn a living like the rest of us." Inside the global media industry, the decree sent seismic shockwaves through television studios, publishing houses, and talent agencies. Streaming giants that had signed multi-million-dollar deals with secondary royal figures held emergency board meetings. Leaked internal memos from top Hollywood executives revealed absolute panic over the sudden devaluation of non-core royal titles. If the king's decree holds legal weight, secondary royal titles are functionally worthless for international branding. The narrative has been completely consolidated around William and Catherine. All pending documentary projects focusing on royal insider drama are placed on immediate hold until legal standing is clarified. Public relations experts called it the most brutal brand consolidation in modern history. The ultimate power move, King Charles had effectively rendered all competing royal narratives obsolete in a single move. If you weren't with William and Catherine, you were a side note in a history book that had already been closed. Financial markets even felt the tremor. Shares in major British media networks surged as viewership records smashed historic highs, while global betting platforms opened wildly volatile markets on whether the decree would survive a formal parliamentary challenge. Every major news outlet was begging for a single official word from Buckingham Palace. The silence from the royal press office was deafening. No denial was issued. No retraction was posted. The absence of a palace statement was the ultimate confirmation: the leak was real, the decree was active, and the iron door had slammed shut. But just as the world thought the drama had reached its absolute peak, a terrifying new development emerged from inside the royal residency, one that threatened to turn this strategic victory into an absolute personal tragedy. At 11:42 p.m. London time, as the global press roared outside the palace gates, an unprecedented security breach occurred inside the perimeter of the royal estate. A high-ranking member of the Royal Protection Command was seen abruptly leaving the private quarters of King Charles, carrying a sealed leather diplomatic pouch. Emergency protocol vehicles with blacked-out windows were captured on high-powered telephoto lenses speeding away from the rear entrance of Clarence House toward an undisclosed military airstrip. Then, the ultimate bombshell dropped, a revelation so severe it makes everything you have heard so far look like a mere prelude. A top-tier investigative journalist, speaking on a scrambled line to an international news broadcast, revealed the hidden truth behind the decree signed 7 minutes ago. King Charles did not act alone, and he may not have acted entirely of his own free will. According to deep-level security sources, the decree contained a final, highly classified codicil that was never meant to be seen by the public or even senior cabinet ministers. The codicil states that Prince William was granted immediate, sweeping regency executory powers over the Crown's institutional decisions, effective the exact moment the document was witnessed. This means King Charles has functionally surrendered total administrative command of the monarchy's future to his son. William is no longer just the heir waiting in the wings, he is officially holding the reins of the entire institution while his father battles severe health complications behind closed doors. And then came the cold, terrifying cliffhanger that has left the world paralyzed. The leaked document uploaded to the internet earlier was missing one single, vital detail on the final page. Under the line reserved for the official witness of the sovereign's seal, there was an unsigned space where Princess Catherine's formal royal sign-off was supposed to be placed. She did not sign it. Why would Catherine, the woman elevated to the absolute center of the crown's destiny, refuse to sign the document that cements her power forever? Did she realize the brutal human cost of erasing the rest of the family? Or did she discover a second, far more terrifying clause hidden within William's regency powers, a clause that changes her own future forever? As the lights inside Kensington Palace burn bright into the early morning hours, reports are emerging of a furious, tearful confrontation between William and Catherine behind locked doors. The battle for the British crown hasn't just begun, it has just turned infinitely more dangerous. This is a monumental shift in history unfolding right before our very eyes, and the fallout is far from over. Did King Charles make the ultimate, necessary sacrifice to save the monarchy, or did he just ruin his family legacy forever by completely cutting out his own bloodline? And what is Catherine hiding by refusing to sign that final document? I want to know your raw, unfiltered thoughts right now. Drop a comment down below and let's get this debate raging. Was this a stroke of genius by Prince William, or an unforgivable act of cold betrayal? If you want to stay ahead of every single shocking update as this royal war escalates, hit that like button right now, smash subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We are tracking this story 24/7, and our next emergency update drops in just a few hours. You will not want to miss what we reveal next about Catherine's missing signature and the secret palace meeting happening tonight. Thank you for watching, stay tuned, and we will see you in the very next explosive update. The air inside the briefing rooms of Fleet Street grew heavy as senior media editors received an anonymous, encrypted transmission. The public was convinced Prince William had successfully crushed the covert attempt to elevate Queen Camilla's inner circle. The social media consensus was absolute: William was the triumphant guardian, and Camilla's network had been forced into a humiliating retreat. But in the ruthless arena of royal power plays, absolute victories do not exist, there are only tactical retaliations. Just as Kensington Palace prepared to release a definitive statement reaffirming the strict boundaries of the direct line of succession, the ultimate retaliation landed like a heavy artillery strike. A notorious international investigative outlet published a chilling teaser for an upcoming, multi-part expose. The source of the leak? An unredacted, highly classified audio transcript originating from within the deepest vaults of the royal archives. The recording was not from the recent confrontation, it was a private, heated discussion between King Charles III and senior constitutional lawyers, captured mere weeks after Queen Elizabeth II's passing. The contents of the transcript sent an immediate, paralyzing shockwave through Kensington Palace. The leaked audio allegedly captured King Charles explicitly discussing a radical, top-secret restructuring plan, one that had been formally endorsed by Queen Camilla and quietly reviewed by constitutional advisors. The plan did not seek to elevate Camilla's children to replace William's offspring, it proposed something far more disruptive to William's future reign. According to the transcript, the proposal laid out a blueprint for a divided crown protocol. Under the secret initiative, when Prince William eventually ascends the throne, a permanent, legally binding Senior Council of Regency would be established. This council, designed to wield veto power over sovereign decisions regarding royal estates, family funding, and public representations, was structured to give Queen Camilla's direct descendants permanent, institutional seats for life. The document revealed that King Charles had been quietly persuaded that a future King William would be too rigid and uncompromising to manage the modern monarchy alone, and that Camilla's family line needed to act as a permanent, legally protected balancing force within the institution. William had not just uncovered a temporary PR strategy or a minor lobbying effort for security perks. He had unwittingly stumbled upon the outer edges of a legal mechanism designed to permanently dilute his absolute authority as future sovereign, a mechanism engineered to shackle his reign before it even begins. When news of the audio transcript hit Kensington Palace, sources described the reaction not as anger, but as a chilling, total lockdown. William realized the terrifying scope of what he was fighting. The battle was not merely about balcony spots for George, Charlotte, and Louis today, it was a preemptive strike against his future crown, orchestrated from within the very heart of his father's inner office. Before Kensington Palace could process the revelation, a second, even more ominous cliffhanger dropped. A high-profile palace whistleblower issued a public statement via a secure legal representative, announcing that the audio transcript was only part one. A second set of encrypted files, containing direct correspondence between high-ranking political figures and palace representatives regarding the execution of the divided crown protocol, was set to be automatically unsealed in 72 hours unless an immediate, independent inquiry was launched into the royal household. The royal family stood at the edge of an unprecedented abyss. King Charles remained isolated at Balmoral, faced with an agonizing choice between protecting his wife's legacy or stopping the total implosion of his son's trust. Prince William, pushed to the absolute limit, convened an emergency midnight summit with his closest allies, preparing a response that insiders warned could permanently sever his public connection to the king's household. The narrative had completely inverted. The public was left reeling, realizing that the scandal was infinitely deeper, darker, and more dangerous than anyone had imagined. As the countdown to the unsealing of the second dossier ticked away, one undeniable reality remained clear: the war for the House of Windsor has only just begun, and the next revelation promises to change the British monarchy forever. This explosive royal war is far from over, and the clock is ticking down to that 72-hour deadline. Will Prince William completely sever ties with the king's household to protect Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis? Or will King Charles step in and shut down this secret protocol before the monarchy shatters beyond repair? We want to hear from you. Do you think Prince William was right to execute an absolute shutdown against Queen Camilla's circle? Is he heroically protecting the direct line of succession, or is the palace hiding an even bigger secret behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments below right now. This debate is heating up, and every opinion counts. If you were shocked by these revelations, make sure to smash that like button and share this video with fellow royal watchers. Most importantly, hit subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss our urgent, incoming update. The moment those classified encrypted files are unsealed, we will be breaking down every single leak line by line. You won't find these raw, unfiltered updates anywhere else. Subscribe now, join the notification squad, and stay tuned, because the next chapter in this royal showdown is going to change everything we know about the British monarchy.